Hello and welcome back to the Illuminate Inclusion channel. I'm here with Lauren again, and today we are talking about how autism is presented in reality TV. So Lauren and I have been chatting quite a bit lately about love on the spectrum, and our different views on it as someone who is not autistic and someone who is autistic. And then we've also been chatting a little bit about the Undateables and other reality TV shows. So today we thought we'd start by talking about what perspectives we gain from these shows from our different perspectives. So I think your perspective, Lauren, is very different as an autistic person to mine. Do you want to, let's start with Love on the Spectrum. Do you want to tell me what your initial thoughts are and sort of what you think now, having watched a bit of it?
So my initial thoughts was I was actually really hesitant to watch it. My mum had put it on and I was a bit like, oh, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I thought, oh, this could be good or this could be really bad. And I think I felt uncomfortable maybe in the first episode, but as I kind of got to know the people on there and their stories and got used to how the narrative was being presented, I got really into it. And so there's been two Australian seasons and three American seasons at this point in time. And every time the new one, I get so excited and I love it.
What is it that you like about it?
It has this warm, cuddly feeling. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because not that necessarily I relate to everyone because it's such a vast like range on the spectrum, but I just feel like I'm rooting for these people and I just get to know them and I feel like I know them and I want the best for them and it's sweet, it's nice, it's harmless in a way.
It's interesting that you had that perspective because I initially also really liked watching it. And within about the first 5 minutes, my husband came in while I was watching the show, and I could see he was really uncomfortable. And he also works with children and young people with special educational needs. So he's used to being around autistic people. And he found it really uncomfortable to kind of watch. And we had a conversation about it at home. And his perspective was it felt like somebody watching this who doesn't know about autism could just be laughing at people on the TV. And there was almost a sense of, is this just there for kind of entertainment value? Or, does it have a kind of any positive benefits to it? And I think he was kind of coming at it from that perspective. Whereas I also kind of got that warming feeling a little bit. I wonder whether there's an element though for you that's different. Like, do you feel like you can relate to the people on the show in a different way, even though I know we've said it's quite a broad range, which it is. But are there some elements where you kind of see yourself in some of it?
Yeah, they do this really nice thing when you meet a new person. So when one character, well, not character, one person will go on their date and then they're introduced to a new person. So they go, this is Bob. Bob likes this, but Bob doesn't like that. And it's like all these different sensory aspects, like doesn't like the smell of bananas or loves to ride trains or loves to go swimming or country music. And it's like really I like that because it's like, oh, my little quirks, other people have them, or my dislikes that everyone thinks, oh, that's a really weird and specific thing to dislike. Other people will have it too. I also really like the families. It's very family orientated, so you do see a lot of the time people's caregivers and parents and siblings and friends, and I like that dynamic. I find that
That's
easy to relate
interesting.
to.
I wonder whether it's also because I think I sometimes come at it from a protective angle of don't be condescending and don't be patronizing. And why are you saying so and so likes bananas? And to me, it's like, well, you almost if you took it in a different way and interpreted it like negatively rather than we're sharing information about their quirks, I almost took it as could that sound a little bit patronizing? And one of the things that I think I struggle with these shows is where is that boundary between somebody who maybe doesn't experience the world in the same way, but they are an adult and they are perfectly capable of being treated like an adult and not being spoken down to or babied in any way. And we can have a conversation about what life is like and how relationships form. And that's great. But where's the boundary between that and then keeping a kind of protective element of are people more vulnerable when they're in this position? And other things that we kind of need to consider differently when you're putting somebody in the public eye that then opens them up to a whole field of online criticism and all sorts of things. And how can you properly prepare somebody for that if they maybe don't see the world and see the consequences of things in the same way? And I think that's, for me, I struggled with is, this is really nice and it's heartwarming. I never thought about it as sort of relating to those kinds of little narrations of this is how we can, this person likes bananas or this person has this quirk. But I can see what you're saying. I suppose the balance to that is where is that? I suppose where is that balance of treating people as grown-ups whilst also recognizing they might be more vulnerable?
I think what the show does well is they have like a relationship coach who is actually on the spectrum herself, talk to a lot of the people on the show, and they show them talking about consent. Like one of them was asking, is it okay to hold a hand? And talking about the idea of consent with these young people, and also how to have a conversation, how to go on a date, and boundaries with people. And I think they do that really well. Part of me has seen online like some of these people are like coming under scrutiny, and some people do make fun of, and I'd hope behind the scenes there is that element of safeguarding for all the people on the show. But I think it's very, what I struggle with, like you said, is the line between at what point and when does it become people mocking the show or people who are off like a fan of the show? Because obviously for me, on as having autism, I'm coming from it of the, oh, this is a good show in a way of it's educating people. But how do you know that that's being taken in by every other viewer? It's on Netflix, there's probably millions of viewers. Not every one of those people watching the show is going to take this as an educational show about raising awareness. It does become like TikTok clips or TikTok sounds to make fun of, in a similar way as The Undateables has become a show, in
Right.
my opinion, to mock.
It's really difficult actually, because the Undateables, I also had that kind of negative perception of this is just feels like it's become a bit of a joke. And are we helping by, I think, as much exposure as possible and as much information and like life experience we can show people in a very much neurotypical world about what life is like for others is really beneficial and powerful, and when we should be doing so much more of it than we already are to get a fair representation. But if it is more isn't necessarily always good, because it may be done in a way that kind of is, if it's not presented in a way that is actually helpful and educational, then does it just become a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh? Do you think that autism is represented well in the show, in both of them, but really Love on the Spectrum? What do you think of it?
I think it's good. They really have like a variety of people on the spectrum, and not just the autism spectrum, just in life and people's sexualities. And I think that's really important to be like, well, autistic people are just the same and have the same feelings. Um, I think it does. I don't know. I think it shows a good representation, and I think it shows it well. It also shows the parents' side and the struggles that the parents have had, and I think that's nice to see because I watch it with my parents. So like I think it's nice for them to also get representation, because you see these mums and dads and uncles and aunts who love their family and just want the best for them and are worried and concerned in the same way as my mum is worried and concerned for me. And that's nice to see. I like that.
I think that's really lovely. And a lot of parents I speak to are worried about what the future holds for their children and whether they'll be able to have relationships and happiness. And when they're thinking about in the long term what they want for their children, they kind of go, oh, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to do that. And will they be able to get married? And actually, in some way, showing that you can have that life and find that joy is actually quite powerful. I hadn't even thought about it from that angle before. That's nice. It's nice that you can watch it with your parents as well.
There's
Um,
just one thing I had about it that I don't know, for me, that is sometimes when you're watching it and like you laugh at something, I sometimes feel guilty for laughing, even though I am autistic myself. I feel like, oh, maybe I have the right. But it's like they'll do something or be socially awkward, perhaps. And I know that in a same situation, I'd be the same. But I laugh and I kind of don't understand like the line between that. That's my only thing I have with the show.
Do you think that there's a different line for that if you are autistic than if you're not autistic? Because
That's
actually, I
that's
think if somebody who wasn't autistic was laughing at it and they didn't feel guilty, I'd be getting quite cross. I feel that it's a
yeah,
protective layer of you can't do that, that's not acceptable. But maybe as an
yeah,
autistic person, if it's representing you and you're not laughing at them in a kind of in a negative way, in a way where you're kind of trying to almost make someone feel bad, but you can just identify that as something in yourself, then that's a very different kind of laughter, I suppose.
yeah. I just find joy in it. But but I also feel that element of like, oh, should I be laughing at it? But I
It's
think it's,
really lovely though, and it's lovely to hear your perspectives. And I think if anything I've taken just from this brief conversation is that you can find joy in these programs and you can enjoy them without seeing them as something to laugh at and to make a mockery of. So whether you're autistic or not autistic, but still neurodivergent, or you're just neurotypical, it's okay to kind of be watching these shows and enjoy the entertainment value of it in a positive way, whilst also hopefully learning something about autism and different lives that people live. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. And we will be back with another episode very soon. We hope you found this helpful. And if you haven't had a look at any of these reality TV shows, it might be worth having a think about. We look forward to seeing you soon.